I know what you're thinking. Clickbait, right? Wrong. This can actually be done. You can save enough money to retire within 10 years. I've done it. My wife and I achieved financial independence at the age of 31, which was 9 years after starting full-time work. This wasn't the bare bones, extremely frugal type of financial independence either. We can live our current lives very comfortably using only our savings and other investments. We aren't quite at a level of financial abundance, which is where you can pretty much buy whatever you want, but we are choosing to continue to work to give ourselves an additional buffer. We don't have any children and are happy with our current situation, so we don't see any need to quit and retire at this point. We didn't inherit any money or hit the lottery. We were able to achieve this all on our own, and you can too. So stick with me and let me tell you how we did it. Spoiler alert, it's surprisingly easy, but it all depends on the type of lifestyle you want to live. You're likely here because you aren't happy with your job and you're looking for a faster way out. You're not alone. Who doesn't want to have more time to do the things they're interested in rather than being forced to work for someone else? But even if you're one of the rare few who is extremely happy and never wants to retire, first off, that's great for you, and genuinely, I'm happy for you. But financial independence should still be a goal for you. You never know how your priorities might change or what will happen to your industry in the future. You may get married or have a family and want to spend more time at home with them. You may grow tired of your job and it no longer excites you like it used to. Maybe artificial intelligence improves and robots or computers are able to do your job better, faster, and more efficiently than you. Your job and income are never guaranteed, so it is good to have a backup plan. Once you achieve financial independence, you will have the freedom to continue working if you'd like, or you can pursue other goals and interests. Okay, let me back up a little bit. What is financial independence? You're financially independent when your passive income exceeds your expenses. At this point, you're no longer reliant on a paycheck to live your life. So how do you know when you've saved enough money to be financially independent? If you're watching this video, then you've likely heard of the 4% rule. Many understand the basics of it, but where did it come from? How was it created? What are horseshoes? Why aren't there horse socks? Is anybody listening to me? If you don't know that reference, then finish watching this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and then go watch Billy Madison. Anyway, stick with me. I'm getting to how to retire extremely early, but it is important to first understand how you can live off your savings so you'll never have to work again. Here's your crash course on the 4% rule. The 4% rule is a back-of-the-envelope way to determine if you have enough money to retire. Basically, it states that each year you can withdraw 4% of the value of your portfolio without depleting your nest egg. The idea being that a retiree can confidently rely on their retirement portfolio for a fixed stream of income over a period of at least 30 years, as long as the annual withdrawals do not exceed 4% of the portfolio's original value. To know how much you need to save, you first need to track your spending. Knowing your annual spending amount is the most important aspect of financial independence and retiring early. Study after study has shown that the most financially successful people know how much they spend on an annual basis. This helps them to determine how much they need to save to fund their spending, but it also makes it painfully obvious where you can spend less and save more. There are several apps available that you can link your accounts and credit cards to that will automatically track your spending for you. Two popular options are Mint and Personal Capital. I use Personal Capital. There's a link in the description below that will give you and me $20 when you sign up. Once you know how much you spend each year, you simply multiply that amount by 25 to get the amount you need saved. For example, if you spend $40,000 each year, then you multiply 40,000 by 25 and get 1 million. So you will need a portfolio of at least $1 million in order to spend $40,000 per year. But how can you be so confident that 25 times your annual spending will be enough to support you? How was the 4% rule created? It was a product of the Trinity study, conducted in 1998 by professors at Trinity University in Texas. They sought to determine what percentage of a portfolio's value at the start of retirement would sustain an annual fixed withdrawal amount for 30 years. The professors looked at investment market performance for 30-year periods from 1926 to 2009. So, they essentially created hypothetical scenarios where they determined how much money you could pull from your portfolio for the 30-year period from 1926 to 1956 without running out of money. Then they did the same thing from 1927 to 1957, and so on until the final period from 1989 to 2009. In all, they looked at 53 different periods, and in 51 of those periods, if you withdrew 4% from your portfolio every year, then you still had money after 30 years. There are a few problems with the conclusions drawn in the Trinity study. First, if you're planning to retire early, then hopefully you have much longer than 30 years of retirement. Also, the original Trinity study was conducted using the S&P 500 market data from 1926 to 1995. Its compounded annual growth rate for this period was 10.47%. The market has not performed quite as well in recent years. From 1996 to 2016, so the years following the study, the return was 8.4%, so about 2% less than during the study. The study was updated in 2009 and did take into account this drop in performance. However, there are very few 30-year cycles that actually include these recent years. In fact, the financial crisis from 2008 to 2009, which resulted in a major market correction, only appears in the back end of a full retirement period, which is when the portfolio is near depletion. If such a correction occurred at the beginning of the retirement period, the negative impact would be far greater. It's not all bad though. The Trinity study ran simulations using market data from the S&P 500 index. This index is made up of the 500 largest US company stocks. History has shown that a globally diversified portfolio tends to reduce volatility and increase returns over a long period of time. The portfolios I recommend typically represent a portion of the global market and contain over 12,500 stocks. I am extremely confident in the 4% rule, if you maintain a degree of flexibility. Adjusting withdrawal rates for changes in the market is the missing caveat to the 4% rule. You are much more likely to successfully fund your retirement if you can be flexible with your annual withdrawal amounts. If the stock market is going through a tough period and is very volatile or falling, you may need to tighten your belt a little. Spend less for a period so that you don't need to pull as much money from your portfolio when it is down. Then, once the bear market ends, you can go back to your regular spending levels. For example, in the two 30-year periods I mentioned before that were unsuccessful in the Trinity study, if retirees had slightly reduced their withdrawal amount in down years and increased it by the same amount in the following up year, their retirement would have been successful. This strategy avoids selling when the markets are down. So once your savings and investments reach 25 times your annual expenses, you are financially independent. Building a portfolio to 25 times annual expenses can seem daunting, but it is very achievable with a little discipline. I invest in the stock market and real estate to help grow my investment portfolio. I built up my investment portfolio by spending much less than I earn and working to increase my income each year. My portfolio has grown to the point where it often earns more in a year through investment growth than I contribute to it on an annual basis. And compound interest is accelerating this each year. Compound interest is essentially your money working for you. Once you invest your money, it starts earning money all by itself. Then the earnings on those earnings start earning their own money. And then the earnings on those earnings start earning their own money. Your investments quickly grow like a giant snowball rolling down a steep hill, getting exponentially bigger each rotation. As an example, let's say in year one, I save $1,000 and it earns 10%. So by the end of the year, I have $1,100. I earned $100. Assume in year two, I don't save anymore, but my money earns 10% again. So by the end of the year, I have $1,210. In year two, rather than just earning $100, I earned $110, even though the percentage gain was the same. This idea of your earnings making money on themselves is compound interest. This helps your portfolio to accelerate and grow much faster. The amount of time it takes to achieve financial independence depends only on your savings rate as a percentage of your take-home pay. At the extremes, this is fairly obvious. If you're spending 100% of your income, then you'll never be able to retire. And if you're spending 0% of your income, then you can retire today. If you're actually able to spend 0% of your income, please come talk to me and let me know how you're able to live for free. This is the secret to investing. The earlier you start investing and the longer time you have to allow your money to earn money on itself can grow your portfolio to enormous values. Assuming you are starting with zero savings, if you can save 25% of your income and invest the savings with an assumed rate of return of 7%, then you can retire in 27 years. I use 7% because historically the stock market has earned 10% per year and inflation is 3% historically. So if you use 7%, we can ignore inflation. Looking at this chart, you can see that if you bump your savings amount up to 50%, then you can retire in 15 years. If you save 70% of your income, then you can retire in just 9 years. My wife and I have been saving over 70% of our income for a while now, which is how we were able to become financially independent by 31. Once you have reached your financial independence number, you can relatively confidently retire and know that your savings should be able to support you for the rest of your life. If you want to reach financial independence faster, your emphasis should be on cutting your spending. Reducing spending has a much greater effect than increasing your income. Every dollar you reduce your spending has a double effect. First, you're able to save more of your income because you're spending less, but also you won't need to save as much to create an investment portfolio that is 25 times that amount. I really like the saying, you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything. The FIRE lifestyle, financial independence, retire early, is all about priorities. If something is important enough to you, then you have to be willing to sacrifice in other areas to achieve that goal. If you want to retire early, then maybe you have to forgo a few of the luxuries that you dream of, or in some cases may have become accustomed to. Let's use your car as an example. Maybe your dream is to one day own a BMW or something nicer. Saving money and living a more frugal lifestyle may dictate that it makes more sense to purchase a less expensive Toyota instead. I'd actually argue that choosing the Toyota over the BMW will make you happier, while lining your pockets with more of those hard-working dollar bills that'll make you rich in the long run. I'll admit that there will likely be a moment of euphoria when you first purchase a BMW compared to a Toyota, but that'll quickly fade. Here are a few reasons why choosing a Toyota Camry over a BMW 3 Series will save you money and potentially make you happier. First, statistics show that Toyotas are more reliable than BMWs or other luxury cars, so there are fewer trips to the mechanic and lower maintenance costs. Second, because Toyotas are more reliable, they actually hold their value better than BMWs. After 5 years, a typical BMW 3 Series loses about 58% of its value, whereas a Toyota Camry loses 45%. On a dollar basis, this is even more pronounced. $27,600 for the BMW and $11,150 for the Toyota. Third, in addition to a Toyota's increased reliability is their increased longevity. They will continue to run reliably for many more miles and years than a BMW will. This will enable you to choose not to replace your car as often. Fourth, the joy gained from the monetary savings of purchasing a less expensive car will be longer lasting than the high you initially feel from buying a BMW. This is especially true as you watch your savings grow. So let's look at the actual numbers. The current purchase price for a new BMW 330i is estimated at $47,500 by Edmunds, whereas a base Toyota Camry is starting at $25,084. The increased insurance, maintenance, repairs, taxes and fees, depreciation, and fuel costs over 5 years of BMW ownership is estimated by Edmunds to be $62,224 versus only $35,442 for the Toyota. If this difference of $26,782 was invested in earning 7% per year, then it would be worth $56,372 in 10 years. Based on the 4% rule, that's the equivalent of being able to spend $2,255 every year for the rest of your life, all from one relatively small decision. Granted, the BMW is definitely a more luxurious car, and perhaps you'll receive a little bit more envy from your friends and colleagues, but is that really worth the cost? For some of you, it might be, and I definitely won't judge you for that. But it is important to understand exactly how much that decision is costing you, because it is much more than just the difference in the initial sticker price. Adding up decisions like this is how you are able to save more money and retire extremely early. For every purchase I make, I think about how much it is costing me over the next 10 years, and then decide if it is really worth it to me to spend that money. Are you on track to retire extremely early? Are you facing any challenges in achieving this goal? Tell me about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. In the description, I've included a link to Webull. If you use the link to open an account with at least $100, then you will receive 2 free stocks, one worth up to $1,400. You can receive a third free stock by also opening a Robinhood account. There is a second link in the description for this. I will also earn free stocks when you use the links. Have a great end to your week and take care.